Hi guys, Hellreign82 here. Today I've got Ralfidude in my back seat, lurking behind me. What I'm going to do is just a quick cold start of the Tomcat here. Not 100% by the book, but it's mainly so that Ralfi can show you a cold start of the RIO pit. So I'm going to get started. I'm going to get air and ground power connected.
Chief, turn on the ground power. Copy. Ground power is now on.
Let's get the air as well.
Chief, connect ground air supply. Copy. Ground air supply is now connected.
Okay, Ralfi, we've got ground air and power. Can you arm the seats and shut the canopy for us?
Will do.
Okay, so now we've got ground air and power. I'm just going to set my hot mic to ICS. It's just down here. Next up, we're going to just do a quick couple of bit tests in the bird. So down here, the master test switch, set it to LTS, which is lights. So obviously we can see caution panels are lit up. All the lights around the VDR lit up. Everything's looking good there. Quickly test the fire extinguisher lights and fire warning lights. Looks good. And then we'll just do the instrument test as well. So we'll see some activity on some of our instruments. These are all waking up now. They're all looking good. So for now we'll set this back to off. And we'll carry on. So, quick check up front. All of these guys are off and missile mode is normal. That's all good. Air source is off currently as we're running on the ground air. So what I'm going to do now is just test out the emergency flight hydraulics. I'm going to set that to low. I'll check over here just so that it says emergency flight hydraulics is on low here. Next, check high. Yep. And we'll go back to auto for now. We'll close that. That's all good. Sort my track IR out. So we're good to go there. The last thing we need to do is do the hydraulic transfer pumps. So we're going to turn that off. It's just back here. And now we can crank an engine. Okay, so what we're going to wait for here is 20% on the RPM. And then we'll take the throttle out of detent. And that will spool up nicely by itself. Once the right engine's settled, we can take the ground power off. RPMs are climbing nicely. Fuel flow's coming up. There we go, that's stable. Let's turn off the ground power.
Chief, turn off the ground power. Copy. Ground power is now off.
Okay, so let's crank the left engine next. Take that out of its detent. Okay, looking good. Both engines are up and running. We'll put the hydraulic transfer pump back to normal. We can reach it. There we go. Close that. Let's uncage the radar, altimeter, and we'll uncage our ADI. Just need to disconnect the ground air.
Chief, disconnect ground air supply. Copy.
And now we'll set our own air source tests. Looking good. Okay, Ralfi, the bird is up and running. You can resume your startup. So whilst Ralfi does his thing, I'm just going to do a few final things in here. So that was turning on the SAS, turning on my UHF and my TACAN. We're on the deck, so I'm going to set spoilers and brakes for anti-skid. Take the wing trans off. Turn on the RIO63, the ILS. We'll get some lights on in here as well. Need to turn on all our displays, so get those guys up. And we'll change the TID to, or actually we'll repeat the TID on our HSD, so we can see what Ralfi's getting up to, see the alignment. It's in progress. I think that's pretty much us good to go there. We just need to maybe do the wings and pretty much ready for flight at that point.
Hello everyone, this is Ralfi and I will be your RIO for today. As Hellreign is getting started in the front, one of the first things you might want to do is to turn on the intercom so you can talk to your pilot through SRS, and turn on the oxygen switch as well. Around this time, the pilot can ask you to close the canopy with left control plus C prior to engine start.
Okay, Ralfi, we've got ground, air and power. Can you arm the seats and shut the canopy for us?
Will do.
Then you can uncage the standby ADI. Once you have power, you can turn on the WCS to standby with one right click on the HCU panel. It should take half a minute for the screen to warm up, with the TDD turning on first. As the TID turns on right after the TDD, you will notice that our lat long is at 0. We must enter this information manually using the keyboard. The information for our position will be easiest to grab from the knee pad, which can be turned on with right shift plus K. Next, we can hit the lat button first, then select the northeast button next. Enter the 5 digits for north, and then hit enter. You can see that the north information has been entered correctly. Before proceeding any further, it is rather important to get into the habit of hitting the clear button before proceeding with any new steps. This is to avoid any conflicts you may have if you misclick something. Now we can select the long button and then the northeast button once again. We will now type in the 5 east coordinates and then hit enter. Should you make a mistake anywhere here, you can just hit clear and start over again. The next step would be to input the elevation, which is also found on the kneeboard. Just in case, hit clear and then press Alt. On the TID, you can see that the L for altitude is lit up. Since our elevation is 49 feet, we need to enter a positive 49. The plus sign is the positive northeast button, while the negative sign is the southwest button. So, in our case, we can hit the northeast button for the plus sign, type in 49, and then hit enter. Double check the TID that it is entered correctly, and then hit clear, which will bring you back to the lat long screen. With that done, we can now move our nav mode switch to align ground. A status bar will appear with an inverted caret that will move to the right gradually. The T in the middle indicates that the INS is not yet warmed up enough to be operational. The first digit on the left shows you the amount of time in minutes spent in alignment, while the digit directly next to it, on the right, will indicate tens of minutes, which, yes, is a little awkward. While an alignment on a carrier is similar, it has some more intricate requirements which will not be covered in this video. An additional thing to note is that it is imperative that the pilot not cycle the parking brake. Doing so will halt the alignment process, putting the parking brake back would allow the alignment to continue. When the carrot reaches the first status bar, it will indicate a course align. At this stage, you would have a good enough alignment to present a correct attitude to the system, but not good enough to tell you your location. Once the carrot passes the next zone, it will be good enough for a weapon launch. If you cut the alignment short before reaching this zone, you will not be capable of firing an AIM-7 or AIM-54. The last zone is an indication of a full alignment. As the carrot moves to the last zone, it will change to a diamond. As it reaches the final line, a dot will appear in the middle of the diamond. Now that the alignment is complete, we can move the nav mode switch to the INS position. You should see a regular TID display. At this stage, we should enter the magnetic variation, which can be done using the category switch, which moves a large cylinder with several options. Move the category switch to navigation, and then select the magnetic variation heading. Back on the TID, you should see an alternating VC and VM. VC is the computer-calculated magnetic variation, while VM is the manually entered one. It is essential to input this information, since the INS will degrade over time, and the computer will fall back on the manually inputted magnetic variation. Although you can put the magnetic variation from the kneeboard, it is good enough for our purposes to simply use the calculated one instead. To input this information, we can hit the heading button. Now, we need to put the plus sign, then 6.1, and enter. Don't forget to hit the clear button afterwards.
Are you out of your goddamn mind?
Back on the HCU, we can turn the IR/TV button to on, and progress the WCS switch to on as well. At this point, we can also set up the radio to the desired frequency. Move the mode button to the T/RNG position. Then the knob to the left controls if you want to change the frequencies with presets or manually using the switches below the readout screen. On the right hand side, you have the radar warning receiver panel. All you need to do here is to power it on. Now, if applicable, you might want to set up the data link. Bring up the kneeboard and move the pages twice with the right bracket button. Here, you will have a list of available data link systems. We want to be able to receive data from the E2, so we will tune it to 320.4. On the data link panel, move the switch to the on position, and then move the little wheels until the correct megahertz is displayed. Take note that the 3 is automatically implied, as you can see here. So in our case, we need to turn the wheels to 204, 4320.4. We can test if we are connected by zooming out to see if the E2 is showing up on our TID. Just to the left of the data link panel is the countermeasures panel. By default, it is set to manual, so every press of the countermeasures will deploy a single chaff or flare. You can move it to the automatic mode instead if you wish to use a program.
Okay, we're ready to taxi.
Okay, thanks Ralfi. Just need to get the wings out and we'll check surfaces and we're good to go. So let's see, manual wing lever all the way forward. Push it down and close cover. Here come the wings. Just going to press the master reset button. Looking good. Dropping flaps. DLC up. Looking good. Anti-skid. Spoilers also good. And we'll just do a controls wipe. Alright, parking brakes coming off, we're good to go.